So Devin, thank you so much for being here today and allowing me to work with you through some coaching. So if you would like to share with me what it is that you would like to be coached on today.
Okay, well, I am going to be leaving Philadelphia in November. I just got notice from my landlord that we won't be renewing my lease together. So my move out date is November 30th of 2021, and I'm moving to California.
That's a
So
big decision, huh?
yeah, it's a decision that as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to do it. So what better time to do it than my 30th birthday than to move to California?
Congratulations.
So thank you. I've always wanted to move to California. I've always wanted to live there. I've always seen myself in entertainment, in movies, modeling, acting. So I think that's the best choice for me to make. I'm not sure if this is going to tie into our financial coaching, but I did hear one place you have to spend money to make money. So I'm not sure how accurate that is, but I think we'll discuss it.
Yes, yes. So first of all, it's a big move. So tell me, you've shared with me why California, and that this has been
Mhm.
something you've been wanting to do for a very long time. But what is your, like, you're moving, you're taking this big step, it's around the corner because November 30th is not that far from now. So what is your plan for that move?
So my plan, honestly, I have two jobs. I have a full-time job and then I have a part-time job that I work on the weekends. So my goal is to really stay rested because I'm going to be at work. I'm going to work my full-time job. I'm going to come home. I'll take a nap probably for a little bit. And then from Thursday to Sunday, I will be working my second job. So I actually applied for rental assistance through the city of Philadelphia during COVID, and they paid my rent off. So
Oh,
yes, and I also received a grant through Lutheran Settlement, which is it's a nonprofit. They help women. I received counseling from them for domestic violence. They're actually what brought me to you because I ended up doing the fellowship, and I got the information from them. So I received a grant from them to also pay for 2 months of my rent. So technically, my rent is paid off until it's time for me to leave here. So I'm just expecting to get my $1,200 deposit back, and I'm going to save at least $4,000 before I leave. I don't have to pay rent. Really, the only thing I have to kind of pay is my utilities, which is just my electricity. So I'm
okay.
going to save my money. I have a financial advisor. I put $100 a month into that. So I have a little bit of change sitting in there. So yeah, I mean that's really my plan to get a job. As far as a place to live, ideally, I am definitely going to manifest my own 1 bedroom. Um,
Okay.
and if I have to humbly have a roommate or live in a room until I'm able to transition, then I'm okay with that as well. Um, I
It
guess
sounds
more important part is being in the place where I see myself and being in a place where I'm able to flourish in my career.
That's great. And you're young. You have so much time to, work those things out, but how great that you're, doing it now instead of somewhere down the road, right?
Yeah.
So where in California and how much do you know about like the cost of living and things like that?
Oh my gosh, the cost of living is insanely expensive in California. It's just as expensive as DC, New York. Um, yeah, they're all the top three. DC, New York, and LA are about the same amount to live. Now there also is an option. So I saw a couple nonprofit jobs in domestic violence because that's what I'm looking to do out there. Uh,
Okay.
so I saw a couple jobs there, and a lot of them are in San Diego. So I also am open to living in San Diego because that's not far from LA. It's about 2 hours.
Okay.
Cost of living is cheaper in San Diego than it obviously is in LA. My intention is to have more work in LA, so I
Okay.
that is what it is, but I also do have a car. So that is a big decision that kind of weighed me from moving to New York or moving to LA, because financially I'm not going to be able to afford to keep my car in New York. I'm never going to be able to park. It's just
It's
going to
so
be,
expensive.
it's so expensive. And I would be paying the amount of rent that I would technically be paying if I lived in LA plus my car note. So I don't, and I just got the car. I just got the car in February. So I wouldn't even be able to sell it technically and make any profit off of it. So I
Correct.
figured, and I would still need a car if I moved to LA. So I figured it would be better to move to the place that I've always wanted to move, but also with the easiest form of transportation, because I don't like public transportation. I just
Right.
I grew up in Delaware. Like my friends had cars in high school, so we all just drove. It's public transportation isn't bad in Delaware, but it's a small place, so it's not as, I mean, it's not as developed as New York, San Francisco. It's not that. So
Correct. Yeah. That our transportation systems here in the US definitely don't compare to what you find even in Europe. I mean, I lived abroad and we use the trains for everything.
oh, cool.
But here and the buses, and whatever it was needed, we all have vehicles, but we still use the transportation system. It was more fun and we were young. So we wanted to be able to have the drink and go somewhere and have fun. And so here in the US, we don't have that kind of a system, which is really a shame. And if you do take the train, or the buses take crazy amount of time. So it sounds like you've really thought about a lot of these things, and have a better idea of what the pricing, that it's obviously it's more money than where you are now, but you're
Double the amount.
prepared to take that step. How do you feel overall? It sounds like you feel very confident.
I feel very confident. I am very nervous because obviously I'm going to be moving to California. But I also am excited that I'm nervous because most things in life I am very confident about. And not saying that I am not confident, but I think it's also good to be scared because that just means I get to decide how my brain processes that. Am I scared or am I excited? Because they do the exact same thing.
Right.
So I am choosing to be excited about this move and honestly let God and the universe guide me to the things that are meant for me. I mean, the job, I don't have the job yet, but I'll get the job. I don't have the place to live, but I'll get the place. I mean, I have a car, and that's really all you really need to get to California. So, I mean,
now you're, as far as a job, are the plans to start looking now and submitting applications, or what's your plan with the job search?
so that's what I've been doing currently. I've been applying for jobs currently. I also have a friend who lives out in LA whose address that I've been using on my resume
Okay.
to let them know that that's like where I'll be transitioning. But eventually I will find a place to live. I know that I moved from Delaware to Philly, and although it is a difference in pricing, I remember having to start over. Like I remember just having my car and a $500 room. And here I am today, 4 years later, with my own apartment, a brand new car, and a job. So I think that I'm not nervous because it's nothing different than what I've already done before.
Right. So even like you said, even though it was that close, it was still
It was still, yeah,
moving to a whole nother city,
a whole
and
other.
you do often have to completely start over, right?
Yeah, and I did.
So
I first I had a really nice apartment in Delaware, and then when I lost everything, I had to move to Philly. So moving here taught me a lot about a hustle and bustle, taught me a lot about self-sufficiency, and yeah, and honestly just to trust the process, because I could have decided that I was going to be overwhelmed when I first came here, but I wasn't. I feel like I was more excited that like I could get anything besides Wawa at 10 o'clock. That's really what I was excited for. So that was really nice. I think I've also been going through the process of cooking for myself, learning that it's like not a burden. It's a part of like loving myself and self-love. So that's something I'm also really excited about too, because that'll also help me save a lot of money being cooking and knowing how to shop and being resourceful, and being able to find resources. Like I was able to find a grant to help me move into this place.
that's
So
right.
Yeah, I'm very savvy. Like I will figure it out. Um,
I
yeah.
have no doubt. I have no doubt because I can see, and you really thought things through carefully. I really feel like you're, for some people, they might be very afraid or start being afraid for you, but that's one of the things that I find that you have to, look at. I'm looking and listening to you and thinking, yeah, she's going to do great in that move. Um, some things that, like, how have you you have investments, you have a financial advisor, and you're doing some investments, but how well do you do with saving and then an emergency fund, two separate things really?
So I do also have I have an investment. I also have a Barclays savings account that I use. It's like a CD online account that I take. I take like $5 from every pay. Before, when I was making a little more during the winter time, I don't know how that happened. But magically I was making more during the winter time. So I was able to put more money in there, but I was always taught to at least put $5 away. So I at least put $5 away every pay. So every week I put $5 in my bank account. One to my savings account. And as far as for my actual saving part, I could be better.
Okay.
Um, a part of modeling and acting is a lot about spending your money on clothes. I always have to have my hair done, my nails done. So, I am a huge expense in myself just to be presentable. Uh,
Okay.
so that's a thing. So I'm also trying to work on the like working smarter, not harder. So from the fellowship, I was given a great opportunity. That's why I was able to invest some of that money and also use a lot of that money to self-sustain. A lot of people who were doing the fellowship, they had faced economic hardships through oppression.
Okay.
Whether it was abuse, whether it was in my own instance, that's what it was. So that a lot of what I've been doing currently has been to rebuild my life. Even with being able to get a full-time job with benefits. Like I literally just got my teeth cleaned yesterday. So that was, um, yeah, that was something that was amazing. So I think that I try not to be hard on myself when it comes to the not having a lot of money saved after I spent my money, the things that I need to spend it on, because in a lot better position than I was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And I know what I'm capable of because I've done it before. So it's just more so of me kind of really pushing the envelope and putting myself out there and applying for these jobs where I'm making more money than I'm making now, because where I work now was just a start. It was just honestly a start. My plan was literally to get a job in healthcare because I
Okay.
knew that when I moved to California, the jobs in healthcare, you make good money doing that. You make good money because California is huge for healthcare. So I decided to get into the healthcare field so that when I moved out there, I would be able to have a job that I wouldn't have to really sacrifice myself or my happiness.
Right. No, I mean, I think you're doing great with your plans. Um, if I may, the only thing I would suggest is that even, with your saving and you're putting $5 away every week, and, it's all about building a habit of saving, right? People worry about, well, I can never save, I'm homeless. And I've worked with the homeless and, just about most of the populations that are struggling financially or they've been marginalized for reasons like reentry and things like that. And I always say, look, it doesn't matter if you start with a quarter every time. If you're picking up change, the idea is to create habits
Yeah.
that fit the things that we want to do. So an emergency fund is great because it just, something happens to the car, you need new tires, tires can be expensive. I mean, there's so many different little things that can throw our entire budget off. So maybe, like I said, if I may make the suggestion that you look at kind of working on that emergency fund too, as you begin to make this transition, because that way it'll just be an extra safety net. Just one more thing that you'll have in place. And once you create the habit of that, then you'll find ways to add to both, right? Your savings account, maybe to get you through all the things you'll need, the clothes and the different things that as you pursue your acting or, whatever it is that you decide to do in LA, but at the same time, have that emergency fund as a backup. Because I don't know, do you have family out here? Where's your family?
So my mother is in Delaware, and my dad is in North Carolina. But I'm closer to my dad's side of the family.
Okay.
That, since the closest individual on my mother's side passed last year, so I'm not really too close with my mom's side. Yeah, I mean,
Like
I'm
you
just
were
not.
with your dad.
Yeah, I'm
Well, the
really close to
reason,
my dad and his parents that live in Coatesville. So as far as when it comes to like financial literacy and having people who have home ownership, who have had it for the last 30 plus years, I honestly look to my grandparents as success because um, just them buying a house really changes the trajectory for me and future generations to come. So I mean, I appreciate them for for the representation. Whether I got it together today or tomorrow, I appreciate the visual, knowing that that's attainable because my grandparents have done it.
that's right. And the reason why I asked about your family is because you might want to travel on occasion too to come see them. Or, sometimes we have an emergency call that someone's not well and we want to be there. And so many times not having the funds in that moment, sometimes it's not that we don't have the money to pay for a plane ticket, but we don't have it today, right? And you have to get on a plane and go, or however you would travel. So those are just considerations. But what's the goal? Like, you have so many goals already, but I'd love for us to end with like, what is one specific goal that we can sort of end this session with, that if I had the opportunity to follow up with you, I would be able to say, okay, Devin, so how are you doing? Because obviously I know you're moving and you've mentioned many things, and I could certainly check in on those, but what's something specifically that you're thinking, you know what, I've been putting this off as part of this California move. Maybe I need to set a goal so that I can get that done. Is there anything?
So I have two,
Okay.
a little bit. So I do want to say the first thing is that I went to college. I graduated. I got a really good job out of college. I honestly was living the dream. I had a car. My grandparents got me a car when I graduated.
Okay.
I had a really nice apartment, hardwood floors. Okay. It was like 850 square feet. It was beautiful. And I became a victim of domestic violence and I literally lost everything I had. So my main goal is to be in a better position than I was when I got out of college. I want a better job with better benefits where I make more money. I have a nicer apartment than I had. I want that chance to do it over because I've grown so much and I didn't appreciate it. And I wouldn't change anything that happened because it made me who I am, but it also made me super appreciative for everything that I've ever had or anyone that's ever come in contact with me because college was like super easy. I mean, it wasn't hard. Like, I
Right.
mean, it wasn't. So it was life that honestly gave me a lot of lessons and challenges. So I'm just looking to get that chance over again to live in California and be comfortable.
So how do we define that goal? Um, like, what is one specific thing that you can think of that you might be able to set as a goal that has to do with this idea of really putting yourself in that position where you can do better than you did before, when you had all these great things and then you lost them and now you've had these lessons? Because, for example, you have the goal, like you're already applying for work, right? You're already submitting applications, you have an address out there that you're leveraging for that. There's so many things you're doing. Is there anything that you haven't put into a goal that you might worry that you might forget, or that you'd easily be distracted? Is there anything like that?
I need to apply for a job that I love.
Okay. So how will you, let's set that as a goal, and how will you do that? What will it
So
take?
um So what will it take? I mean, it'll definitely take me writing cover letters. It'll definitely take me being stern with myself because I am a first generation college student. So a lot of times when you are the first, people they have this idea of what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it, but they don't know because they've never done it. So
Right.
at the end of the day, it was always go to college, Devin, get the education, because then once you get the education, you get the good job, which they were right. I did get the good job, but I hated it. And I couldn't, I've learned through life that I am not someone who can do things that I do not enjoy. And there are people who can do that. They can sit there and they can do it because they have to. But I do not have to do things that I don't enjoy. And that is just how I am. And I'm not going to do things that I don't enjoy because that doesn't bring me happiness. So when I moved to California, I'm going there to do the things that I love. I'm not going there to do the things that I've already done here because I had to. So I'm moving to California to do the things that I want to do. And I'm going to get a job that I love where it has purpose and I help people and I make really good money and I have great benefits doing that.
So that you mentioned, you've mentioned many times domestic violence. So is that an area? Because I think you mentioned that you'd like to work in that area in your move.
Yes, I actually am coming up. So it should be coming up in like a week and a half, but I'm actually going to be doing a 40-hour training course with the Lutheran Settlement House. So I'll have my belt for at least 10 years and I'll be able to work the domestic violence hotline and help out other survivors and advocates. So that is awesome. That is super fulfilling. It's an antidote in my life that while I would never want to give adversity all the glam and the glory, I appreciate the experience and going through that. I do have the challenge of having a misdemeanor, so I am in the process of trying to get that expunged.
Okay.
So that is also a challenge that I do have when it comes to working, especially in the financial, because that's where my background is, either financial or healthcare.
Okay.
So I am looking to kind of move into a sector where humanity and compassion and empathy are super important, because without those qualities, I wouldn't be here. Without people having those, for me, I wouldn't be here. So it only makes sense to me, regardless if I become when I become an Emmy Award winning actress, it doesn't matter. I still have something that is super personal to me, and I'm big on philanthropy. And that's something that I know that while I'm maneuvering it in California and going on castings, I don't ever have to worry about going into a place that I hate because I get to do all the things that I love.
That's right. So, and it's so funny because you're speaking my language. I've never, ever been able to, if I had a job that I absolutely loved and something caused me to lose respect, I just couldn't do it. Giving 3 weeks notice was like torture for me.
Yeah. And you,
I can't be unhappy. I can't be unhappy at anything I do.
Just me. And I think that I come from a generation, and this is no diss to the baby boomers because I love you guys. Like, I love the baby boomers. They are awesome. They have literally created a way for a lot of us. But what I will say is that some of the philosophies and ways of thinking are kind of outdated. And I don't have to sell my soul to a company because I mean, I am not a number. I'm a person. And I thought I was crazy for thinking that. Just thug it out. I can't do that. I can't because it's too depressing for me. And after going through trauma, I don't have that in me to go to do something that I do not like.
So good for you, because I think that, and I think that's changing. I think with your generations, and I know for me, that's always been a thing. And so I try to teach it, and I work with people on, what do you do to get yourself to the wealth building and the financial capability that whatever it means to you, how you want to live your life. We should be able to live our lives as we desire. Yeah. And we can, it's just that in the past, people didn't really help us understand how these decisions affect our money and vice versa. And so we made decisions and didn't really think a lot about it. And then one day realized that we weren't happy because we couldn't do the things we wanted to do. So I'm glad that you're so focused on that. And I congratulate you, and congratulations, by the way, for being a first generation college student in your family. Huge accomplishment, and you will be an example for many.